Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Sparkle English, where I help you improve your English level. This is part 7 of my Subject-Verb Agreement series. And in this final lesson, we're going to talk about advanced rules. As a quick overview, part 1, we talked about how singular subjects need singular verbs, plural subjects need plural verbs. We talked about collective nouns and countable and uncountable nouns in parts 2 and 3, compound subjects and conjunctions in part 4, here and there in part 5, and indefinite pronouns in part 6. And for now, this will be the last video in this series, and we're going to talk about subject-verb agreement with multiple verbs and phrases. I'm going to show you some intermediate and advanced examples. At the end of this lesson, we will have a quiz. So first, let's talk about sentences that have one subject and multiple verbs. In sentence with one subject and multiple verbs, make sure that all of the verbs agree with the subject in number. Let's look at some easy examples to demonstrate this. Peter reads books, writes poems, and paints landscapes. We have the subject Peter and 3 verbs that all agree with Peter: reads, writes, and paints. They are all singular verbs, as Peter is a singular subject. The team trains hard and competes fiercely. In this sentence, we have one subject, the team. Team is a collective noun and it takes a singular verb. The team trains, the team competes. And here's an example with a plural subject. The fans cheer and clap for the football players. So these are 3 simple examples where we have multiple verbs after the subject. But many times sentences are not this simple. So let's look at some more advanced examples. The museum contains a vast collection of artifacts and offers interactive experiences to visitors. Okay, here we have the subject, the museum. And we have 2 verbs in this sentence. The museum contains, the museum offers. So always keep in mind the subject of the sentence. You might see the word artifacts, which is plural, and get confused and make the following verb plural. But remember, we're not talking about what the artifacts offer. We're talking about what the museum offers. The museum contains a vast collection of artifacts, and the museum offers interactive experiences to visitors. Usually, we don't add the subject again after and because it's unnecessary. So the verbs both need to agree with the subject. Next example, our innovative application simplifies complex tasks, ensures data security, and provides a user-friendly interface. We have the subject, application, our innovative application, which is singular. So we use 3 singular verbs: simplifies, ensures, and provides. Another example, a hypothesis is a proposition that is yet to be tested and is a foundational element when designing an experiment. Again, in this example, we have a lot of words. It's a very long sentence. So focus on the subject, which is hypothesis, which is singular. So we use a singular verb, is, and again, is. So now let's talk about subject-verb agreement with phrases between subjects and verbs. When a phrase comes between the subject and the verb must still agree with the subject. For example, the director, along with the actors, is attending the premiere. So here we have the word actors, which is plural, but we use a singular verb is, not are. And that's because the subject is director. Actors is not the subject. So this is a phrase in between the subject and the verb. And the verb must agree with the subject, not the noun or the pronoun in the phrase following the subject. Compare this example with the following example. The director and the actors are attending the premiere. Well, in this case, it would be a compound subject because we have the director and the actors. I have a lesson on subject-verb agreement with compound subjects. But in the first example, along with the actors is providing additional information, but it isn't part of the main subject. Along with does not make a compound subject, and the coordinating conjunction does make a compound subject. So in the first example, we use a singular verb, and in the second example, with the compound subject, we use are, a plural verb. Let's look at more examples. The pile of books on the table belongs to Sarah. Now this might be confusing for some of you because we have table, which is singular, we have books, which is plural, then we have pile, which is singular. So what's the subject here? The subject is the pile. If we eliminate of books on the table, the pile belongs to Sarah. The pile is the subject. So it is singular, so we use a singular verb, belongs. Of books on the table is a phrase in between the subject and the verb. If we eliminated pile of and just said the books on the table, then books would be the subject. So we would use a plural verb. The books belong to Sarah. But in this case, the subject is pile, which is singular. My favorite hobby, reading novels on the balcony, relaxes me after a long day. Again, here the subject is hobby. My favorite hobby relaxes me after a long day. Reading novels on the balcony is a phrase in between the subject and the verb. Another example, and this is a difficult one. The methods the mathematician uses to solve complex problems often involve breaking them down into smaller steps. This is a long, complicated sentence. So we have a plural subject, methods, and a plural verb, involve. However, we have a phrase in between the subject and the main verb. And in this phrase, we have another verb, but this verb is singular. Why? Why is this verb singular? Well, the mathematician uses to solve complex problems is a relative clause. And mathematician is a singular noun that's the subject of this relative clause. So uses must agree with mathematician, which is why uses is singular because mathematician is singular. However, the main verb of the sentence is involve, and it must be plural because it must agree with the main subject, which is plural, methods. And this is an example of one of the most complicated sentences when dealing with subject-verb agreement because there are multiple nouns and verbs. So try to isolate the main subject, the main verb, and identify if there are any phrases or relative clauses between the subject and the verb. Okay, so now it's time for our quiz. There are 5 sentences in total, and you must correct any subject-verb agreement errors. Some of the sentences are correct. Number 1. The gallery showcases a variety of sculptures and encourages guests to participate in hands-on workshops. Number 2. Our new app makes difficult jobs easier, keep your information safe, and is a breeze to navigate. Number 3. My cherished pastime, playing the guitar on my porch, soothes me after a stressful day. Number 4. A theory is a concept still awaiting verification and is crucial when conducting a research study. And finally, number 5. The video games my nephew plays often contains difficult puzzles and challenges to solve. Let's correct these together. Number 1 has an error. The subject is the gallery, which is singular. So the verbs that modify it must be singular. Showcases is singular, and encourage should be singular. Encourages. Number 2 also has an error. The subject is our new app, and we have 3 different verbs that must be singular. Makes, keeps, and is. So keep must be changed to keeps. Number 3 is correct. Pastime is singular and soothes is singular. Number 4 is also correct. A theory is singular. A theory is and is. Again, both verbs are singular. And my difficult one is number 5, which has an error. Contains should be plural. Contain. And that's because video games is a plural subject. The video games contain. Video games is plural, and the main verb should also be plural. My nephew plays is additional information, and plays modifies nephew, not video games. And that's why plays is singular, because nephew is singular. Let me know in the comment section how many you got correct out of 5. I hope you guys enjoyed this complete series on subject-verb agreement. Make sure to check out my other videos if you want more practice, and subscribe to Sparkle English for more lessons. I'll see you next time.